What's up, guys, and welcome back to Let's Play Bioshock 2! And now we've finally left Siren Alley and we've arrived in Dionysus Park, which, unlike the previous level, is actually a really good level. So we'll actually be having fun here. And we'll get essentially the last couple of really nice upgrades we'll get before we have a full arsenal and that kind of stuff, and we'll be using pretty much all of the trap things that we'll need for the rest of the game, and we'll have our resources totally maxed out for doing gathers, so I'll be able to show a full-fledged defensive gather setup in this level, and I won't go into too much detail about that until we actually get there and it becomes relevant, but that will happen sooner than you think. So there's some eerie shadows going on here, some teleportation fuckery that we can't explain, and obviously if you played the previous game you have a theory as to what that could be. Now, to me, I think this is way too late in the game to be introducing these enemies, and the game kind of forgets about some of the other enemy types that we have fought previously in order to replace them with these. But it's kind of a fair trade because they're actually a really balanced enemy in this game. They're not too overpowered, and but their agility and their combat ability certainly make them more formidable and adaptable to all kinds of situations. So you can pretty much put them in any encounter, and they work out pretty well. And they'll be there until the end of the game. So, but we're going to not allude to them any longer. But we're going to let them naturally appear on their own. It's a Houdini splicer, ladies and gentlemen, and we can these are highly spliced splicers that have plasmids of their own. They can teleport around and they can throw fireballs at you. And I failed to really research one very well there at all, so I didn't even get a full first level of research there. But you can catch their fireballs and throw them back at them with telekinesis, which is what I did just then. Sometimes they spawn in fixed locations like that and teleport to scripted spots, but otherwise they can pretty much teleport as they please. And in the previous game, when you did research on them, you were able to acquire a tonic that allowed you to predict their destination when they would teleport a little bit more easily, and I don't know if that exists in this game or not. Actually, it wasn't a tonic, it was just a naturally acquired ability through research. And we might have that in this as well, but again, I'm not entirely sure about that. Well, there's a few things around here I want to get. There's an audio diary around here that I'm not going to get right away, because I'm going to be coming back here for a gather. This is actually this is a pretty big level, so I would be coming way out of my way to come back here for a gather. But there's a Power to People station here, so I know what I'm doing. That's where I know what I'm doing. This is, like I said, this is one of my favorite levels, and I'll be doing a lot. But ironically, though, I'll be doing a lot of editing in this level, though, and I'll be explaining why when we get there. So, up until we just came along and drained this place, it was completely underwater, and so obviously a lot of the machinery does not work here. And the splicers are just now getting accustomed to it. In addition to that, the big daddies and little sisters are just now starting to run around and collect Adam from the corpses of all the bodies that were killed when the place initially flooded. And the aesthetic of the place is really cool because everything is covered in freaking barnacles and other assorted sea life and algae and whatnot. And there's water dripping from God knows where, and there's even some coral around here in places, and it just looks really cool. It's a lot of subtle detail. Right here is a new demonstration of the trap spears, which is a new ammo type for the spear gun, which is like the trap crossbow bolts from the previous game, and they essentially function the same way. I'll go over them again once we actually pick some up, but those we can't actually pick up because they've already been set into the wall, which is a real shame, to be honest. I really would like to retrieve them. Really abusing that Winter Blast there. The Winter Blast 2 is so good. Well, it's not called Dionysus Park for nothing, I guess. Yeah, I think my commentary is pretty spot on today. I think my illness has finally been cured. Of course, I say that right as I'm drunk within the game itself, but no big deal. Now here at the Gatherer's Garden Machine, we now have we don't have all of the level 3 ones available to us now. That's a little bit too soon. We do have Cyclone Trap free is already available, and Security Command 2 is available now. So I'm going to pick up those two if I have actually have exactly enough Adam to do that. honestly, I'll go over what they do here in a second. With Cyclone Trap 3, as you can see, we can now place it on the walls and ceilings. Wait, just one ceiling.
Hello, boys.
But,
the name's Stan Poole.
and that's actually, that does add some dynamic to it, but not really. You can knock spire splicers off the ceiling, which is hilarious to do. But really it just makes it a lot more powerful. But with Security Command 2 right here, it's actually the much better of the two upgrades we just bought, because what it allows us to do is we can hold it and charge it like we could with the other two level 2 plasmids, and it will consume a big chunk of our Eve, and it will spawn a security bot, a fully healed security bot that will follow us around. And this is the that and the trap spheres we got earlier are the first of the many final defensive upgrades we can get in this level to max out our setup with the gathers and everything, so we have a full setup for the defensive gather paradigm, sort of, I guess you could say. But there's one more thing we gotta get, but it's really, really good in combination with the Handyman tonic, because then you can spawn a sentry and then heal it with the Handyman tonic. So you're not, especially if you're not using any other plasmids and you're conserving your Eve just for that, you can have like a, I don't know, and I think you can maybe even spawn more than one, I'm not sure. I usually only spawn one, but it's really, really good. I've already explained the pros and cons of having a security bot with you. There's not really any downsides aside from the... Okay, before I get too carried away here, that vending machine, because I got the blue bonus, dropped a new ammo type for the shotgun, the third and final ammo type, and it is a solid slug. It is instead of a buckshot, it's a single shell which fires straight, so it has no scatter effect to it, and I'll demonstrate that when we actually get around to finding a good enemy to use on it. It's obscenely powerful, and I absolutely adore it. But like I said, the security bots, they are extremely good to have around, because they add another target. They'll draw aggro away from you for the enemies and also deal additional damage to them. So overall, there's no reason not to have them. Here's another power to people station, so kind of, I want to get everything, but I have to make a choice here. I'm going to reduce the recoil of my machine gun here. Not really using the machine gun all that much. I do kind of want to use the, as you can see, there's almost no recoil now, which is a really cool effect. But not quite as broken as the no recoil in Deus Ex 3, though, as I demonstrated. But when you, mainly I just want to use that for the armor-piercing rounds against a large target like a Big Daddy or a Big Sister.
She's looking right at me, and her face.
Alright, so we get the final weapon to add to our arsenal, the launcher, which is just a generic kind of steampunky launcher thing, which actually has a really cool design, and I quite like it, but it's basically the grenade launcher from the previous game. It launches frag grenades, it launches proximity mines, and it launches heat-seeking RPGs, just like in the previous game. No changes really to it whatsoever, aside from like the sound effects. So let's blow some stuff up with it. Yeah, nice scripted spawn of a couple splicers there, and with a turret to blow them all away at once. As you can imagine, it's extremely powerful, but mainly just in the fact that it has splash damage. The frags are not so broken where they'll kill pretty much any enemy in one hit. Just in the previous game. You got the grenade launcher really early on in the previous game, though, so they balanced that out with the primary regular frag grenades really well. So this game they're a little bit more powerful because they're a little bit later in the game, relatively speaking, but it's all good. But really I want it for the proximity mine, so we can use that for the gatherers. So
if that stuff makes it back to her, I'm an obituary. So I want you to take the story of Dionysus Park and bury it. Get rid of the little sisters for me. Your way. Do that, and I'll unlock the station here. Scout's honor.
Well, I'd say he's hiding something, but he's
so you may be thinking, why is this one of my favorite levels if all you basically do is just get story and complete the gathers? But that's, I mean, that's pretty much all you do in every other level. But that's basically literally all you do in this level is you're told the story, but your actual objective is just complete all the gathers. That's it. And, or at least deal with all three little sisters. You don't even have to do all the gathers. And I'm okay with that, because I still think it's a really good level in its design, and so it's some of the best uses of the gather mechanic in the game, and where I think it's actually really well implemented. But we'll get more into that when we actually get around to killing those guys. This ammo station right here has some really good ammo, including our anti-armor, anti-personnel auto rounds, the solid slugs we got, and the trap spears. So it's overall really good place to get ammo from. But I think we're pretty well stocked up, though. I want to use some of the guys' stuff here, vary it up a little bit. I don't want to get too repetitive here. You ever notice that when you watch like an LP of somebody doing an FPS game and they just use the same one gun for the entire run through the game, or at least like for like an entire level at a time, like regardless of like the range they're fighting an enemy at, and it's just like, oh my god, dude, change weapons, please. But I can't really give any good examples of that, I guess. I'd like to deliberately vary things up a little bit, even if it's not one of my less favorite weapons. With a few exceptions. I mean, there's some games where I'm like, yeah, I'll keep using this weapon. There's a turret over there, so we're gonna need that for a gather later. And I'm gonna dodge that rocket, and we're gonna hack it.
Everybody wears pole hats and nothing else.
As you can see, at this point in the game, the hacking again, it scales in difficulty again to where now we have much more red. In the hacking bar there, so we can potentially fail it much more easily, and they have scaled to difficulty a lot better. So let's see. Don't really care about that ammo station when we have that other one, but I guess it might have the same selection. I just don't really care. I don't want to bother to hack it again.
You mistake my nature, Delta. I wish no Adam for myself.
Yeah, definitely want to come in here and get these proximity mines for the launcher, because those are going to be our main asset. The other ammo types are good, like I've said, but the proximity mines are there for the gathers. Now over here there's a lot of consumables, but I'm going to leave them there because we're going to be traveling back through here after we've exhausted some of our resources fighting this guy and all the ensuing enemies that come afterwards, you know, in the whole gather scenario. Because this is where the first one's going to take place. It's kind of, you're very limited in the places you can do gathers in this level, kind of, because of the fact that you have to find the big daddies at scripted places. But they still give you a few options, at least maybe 2 or 3 alternate locations per gather. You have at least 1 or 2 different options you can choose between. But here we're actually fighting a bouncer again. It's an elite bouncer though, so he's awesome. But he's not as awesome as us because he only has a lame drill, and we have a better lame drill. Ah, ha, ha. And we can kill him with it, preferably. And he gave us some proximity mines. How nice of him! It's almost like he knew. And also in the previous game, the all big daddies in this game only have one like research category. So but in the previous game, the bouncers and the rosies didn't have separate research categories, but now they even have less of a diversity. There's 3 types, but whatever. Okay, this will be the corpse that we will loot, but we have to loot some other stuff first. By loot, I mean loot for Adam, of course. We already looted it for everything else, but that room over there, as you can see, contained the bladder chamber for this area in case we die horribly, which I don't think we will. And in here contains some other stuff, including a girl with a much more inferior shotgun to our own. And an auto diary conveniently located with some film reels.